rhyme it? Do you know how to rhyme it? Oh, please just rhyme it.
Then he really gets into it.
Do you know how to rhyme it? We will be rocking in LA, so let's rhyme it today. Just rhyme it.
Yes.
We are gonna rhyme it. Just rhyme
that's
it.
where he just rammed it.
I like everybody rhyme it. We'll be rocking in LA. Say hello to the Rams today and ram it.
I mean, now he's like on his feet.
Ram it.
Wow.
Ram it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Rams Brothers the Pod. I'm your host Dean, and I'm joined by the other host of this show, Nick. And Nick, you're looking pretty good. You got the Rams gear on tonight. I think you're going to the game tonight too. How are you?
Yeah, going to the first preseason game. I saw a memory on my phone 5 years ago. Me and Dad, we were at the first preseason Coliseum game.
Yep.
So this is going to be a nice, serendipitous moment. Yeah, and it's going to be fun going with all the LAFB guys. So it'll be a fun time tonight. I'm really excited.
You're going to be a part of the fan base. The first time they've ever been in SoFi Stadium to watch a football game.
Yeah.
It's a preseason game, obviously, but there's a ton of excitement around it for sure. And it's the Rams versus the Chargers, and the Rams are the home team. So you'll see some opposing
Are we
Chargers
getting Duck
fans.
Hodges?
We're going to get a combination of Duck Hodges and Bryce Perkins.
Nice.
So you'll see a little bit of both of those. But why don't you kick us off and tell us who this episode is brought to us by?
Yes. Okay. I would love to. So attention listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston to Brazil. Do we have a pube problem?
Why won't they leave me alone? Easy now.
If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. I am one of them, so is Dean. And get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for the 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code LAFB20.
Yeah, so I wanted to see if I was testing you there. I wanted to see if you could get through the rest of the read, as that was a surprise video. As you're the biggest Ren and Stimpy fan I've ever known. So I was testing your limits there. 20% off, though, plus free shipping with code LAFB20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off free shipping with code LAFB.com or LAFB20 at manscaped.com. Your balls need some help probably. And for the clean trinity and beyond, your space balls will thank you.
We got to find a better way to not just go right into it. Like if somebody's listening to the first time right now and they're just getting like bombarded with balls, really, like, we definitely have to clean it up a little bit.
Well, it's the pre-roll.
It's the read. I know it's the read, but it really alienates some people. I had a female fan, and she was like, "Yeah, for the first 2 minutes, all you guys are doing is talking about balls."
Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. It's for her as well as it is for you. So, I mean, that's
true.
Part of the process. So, yeah, I mean, we got a bunch on the slate for today. I mean, today's the first preseason game of the year. Obviously, today, 8-14 versus the Chargers. The Rams are the home team. Then you got 8-21, which is next Saturday, versus the Raiders at home. And then 8-28 at Denver. So it's starting really quick. I mean, everything's here already. So game one is actually Mcveigh versus Brandon Staley. So head-to-head. McVeigh's not going to be calling any plays, but McVeigh said about 35 players will not be playing at all in this game. So roughly eliminates the 22 starters on offense and defense, plus a handful of backups. But Brandon Staley, I'm sure, is going to want to have something to prove. So it's going to be really nice to kind of see his first exposure to the head coaching role without the assistance of Sean McVeigh. We'll get to this a little bit later on in the episode, but Brandon Staley may or may not be the odds-on favorite to be the head coach of the year this year. So there's a lot to watch for, I think, pretty early on with Brandon Staley and Sean McVeigh. Nick, you made a face at that comment. What are your thoughts there?
I just don't know how great of a coach Brandon Staley is going to be offensively. we've never really seen him step into that kind of role. And like, if he even is going to have any kind of say on that side of the ball, he's got a lot of fun weapons in this Chargers organization. Justin Herbert is getting so much media attention, about as much as Matt Stafford is this offseason. So it's interesting to see which one of them will actually, lead their team to success, and where the other may hinder a little bit.
Yeah, there's a ton of – well, they had a lot of success late last year. So, I mean, whatever they were able to implement later on last year when Herbert was able to come along, I'm expecting to see early on in the season from the Chargers. But it's going to be interesting to watch regardless. So what we did today was we wanted to list a handful of players on the offense and defensive side of the ball that we're excited to watch in this preseason game. We're going to kick it off with the Funk. You got the Funk, Jake Funk. What a journey for this kid. I mean, it's been such a long – grueling process with the knee injuries, everything he's been through. He's had 3 knee surgeries. His second one got infected and left his entire future as a pro in doubt. But now he's 2 years removed from all of those injuries, and the Akers injury obviously leaves a ton of opportunity for Jake Funk. So there's no doubt that he feels like he has a ton to prove, especially to himself and the Rams staff. So look for him to be the guy that can run inside the tackles. Look for him to be the guy inside that can get to the second level, that can break a couple of tackles. Maybe even a guy in the red zone who could be effective. So
that's what I'm thinking, more of like a Malcolm Brown, C.J. Anderson kind of guy, where it's like 4th and 1, throw him in there, like hopefully just
he's
kind of pile drivers him in.
He's absolutely the bigger body guy. So I think that's something you need. So I don't know if it's the fact that Malcolm Brown is gone or the fact that Cam Akers had the injury, but regardless, Jake Funk is going to get an opportunity here, and he could potentially fill the role of Malcolm Brown, which would be exciting. I mean, obviously early on, he's a late round pick. You don't expect a ton from him, but all eyes are going to be on Jake Funk. And right behind him, Nick, is Xavier Jones. He's a guy I'm just as excited to watch. I actually believe Xavier Jones is before him on the unofficial depth chart. So you'll probably see a little bit of Xavier Jones early on. I don't
think that really matters much, right? That unofficial depth chart. I think Mcveigh kind of came out and was like, I didn't even really see it. Cooper Kupp's not returning punts, even though he's a punt returner on the depth chart.
Yeah, that's true. He did say he didn't really see it, which is odd.
I know. Did he actually not see it, or was that a mistake and he's just trying to back himself up? That was sus.
Yeah, well, regardless, I think that second running back spot behind Darrell Henderson is open. Right. So Xavier Jones right now is in the unofficial second spot, but he's a guy that we just don't know a ton about yet. Right. He had a great career at SMU, and then he went undrafted. And then Thomas Brown's really been working with him. He's been in the Rams system for a couple of years, and he's made a ton of progress in camp so far. So McVay said multiple times that he's delivered in the opportunities that he's been given, and he's the second guy on the depth chart, like we mentioned. So we're expecting a lot out of him. I mean, if you're the second running back on a Rams team, a high-powered offense, you got to be able to make something happen. And I think he has the potential to be able to do so.
One thing that I which would lead me to believe that Funk is probably more legitimately the second back, is because he is a bigger body. It would probably lead me to believe that, he's better a blocker,
Yeah.
So
better in pass protection.
Yeah. So I would think that, if throw Funk out there, little more of a wild card, and okay, we're probably not running it. Henderson's not on the field, so let's just get somebody that can actually block.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be an interesting tandem. If he could be somebody that helps in pass protection, he could find himself on the field on third down. But also you find Darrell Henderson as a viable pass catcher out of the backfield. So he may not be somebody that you want to take off the field, but there's a lot of different downs and distances, right? A third and short, a third and 3, maybe even line him up as a fullback and a power eye. Right. So I think there's going to be a lot of flexibility you have with Jake Funk, maybe even more so than you have with Xavier Jones. And then there's also 2 other guys, Raymond, Collay, and Otis Anderson. They're going to get carries in the preseason. So you're going to see a mix of 4 guys. In 4 seasons at UCF, which is where he played with Jacob Harris, Anderson scored 27 total touchdowns, one of which was a punt return. So he ran a 4.63 40, which is why those kind of guys get undrafted as a running back, but he could be a contributor along with Raymond Collay on special teams. So there's, 4 running backs. The Rams will likely carry 4, one of which will probably play special teams. And I think they kept 5 last year with Xavier Jones, being the fourth guy, and then Collay being the fifth. They brought him in later in the year. And then John Kelly, I think, got waived during the first round of cuts. So I think they kept 5. They could keep 5 again, or they can, they can go light at another position and keep 5, or they can go heavy at another position and keep 4. So I guess it's all kind of dependent on, that's why it's so interesting to watch these 4 guys. One of them could emerge and find themselves on the depth chart ahead of Jake Funk or ahead of Xavier Jones. That's what the preseason is all about, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a lot of like plug and play. I mean, they're not like they're doing plays designed. They're all drawn up. Like it's maybe halfway through the game, they're going to start trying to read the defense, but like they're throwing out stuff that they think they know works.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean,
if it's soundproof and it's working, then, all goes well. But I think it's just going to be fun just to see these guys out there. You know what I mean? Just like really just to be able to kind of sink your teeth into a little more. I mean, it's just a step up from camp. I mean, I'm really excited mainly to see kind of what the defense just looks like, because it's going to, it's a whole different regime. And then you have like playing against essentially Staley's defense. So from last year, it's just with a different team. So it should be something that McVeigh kind of knows, at least. Like on paper, you'd think that this team would beat this team, in the regular season, just based off of that. But then on the coin flip, you could say, well, Staley knows everything that McVeigh is going to be doing. So,
yeah, I think it's interesting, right? The preseason, we've seen so little from defenses so far, right? You'll see kind of like a base defense, depending on if they run a 3-4 or 4-3. You'll see some general stuff. I think with Brandon Staley, what he's going to be able to do with McVeigh, he'll probably play around a little bit, right? He might run some heavy dime concepts if he knows McVeigh wants to throw early on and air it out with Duck Hodges or Bryce Perkins. So those will all be interesting things to monitor. I think the preseason is always fun to see that. And I think Raheem Morris is probably going to fall victim to that as well, right? We'll get to the players that we're excited to see on the defensive side of the ball, but it's been pretty standard so far in this preseason. So, I mean, there's only so much that you could take from it, but, there's always stuff that you can watch as well. I think
it's just cool how close we are.
You're nuts.
Like we're so close to the
I think I just
season.
said I made you too happy with the Ren and Stimpy video drop early on. So now you're in a good mood. I got to get you on the other side.
Yeah. You have to piss me off somehow.
I'll see if I can twist you a little bit. Well, there's no John Wolford talking here, so
I know, Mr. Appendicitis.
Yeah, that's a painful injury, man. You got to take like 2-3 weeks to like get your appetite back in check.
I'm so happy that he's not going to be playing.
Well, you get to see 2 other guys, which will be fun. We know what Wolford is. Bryson Hopkins. There's been a lot of talk about him since he was drafted last year in the 4th round. What kind of role is he going to fill? Is it going to be Tyler Higbee's role? Is it going to be Gerald Everett's role? What does his athleticism look like? Is he technically sound? Is he coming along? Is he developing? Right, all these question marks. We haven't seen a ton on him. But everything I've read on him leads me to believe that they're trying to groom him to be the next Tyler Higbee. So I think the reason why I say that, right, if they're going to groom him to be good in all phases and reliable, consistent over time, qualities of Tyler Higbee, who knows if that's all going to be true with that player, right? They're going to try to develop him. But I'm expecting Higbee and Harris to be the primary pass catchers once the season starts, with Munt probably being the 3rd guy, right? Especially in special blocking schemes and however that rolls out. But Higbee's under contract through 2023, and it would cost them $600K in dead cap if they were to get out of it after this season. So there'd be a significant savings, roughly $6 million, if they want to trade or cut him after this season. So that opens the door for a player like Bryson Hopkins, which is the reason why we want to be able to kind of watch and evaluate him. So if he's not on the field, or for whatever reason he's making dumb mistakes, it's going to be pointed out. And I think the Rams staff have all their eyes on that as well.
I didn't realize that about Higbee. So this is the last time we'll see him in a Rams uniform.
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, depending on the season that he has. But there, like I said, when you look at the numbers, there could be a significant savings if they want to get rid of him.
Just based on how they've been doing things, like under this regime, I would bet that this is his last year.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of what I was thinking too when I was looking at the numbers. But if you have a player that can come in and step in and fill the void, you're not.
I mean, I really liked what we saw from Munt last year.
Yeah, but months under a veteran's minimum this year for 1 year. So, I mean, to ask him to come back again next year is very unlikely. He could go seek another contract if he plays well, which is what the Rams will go let him do. So these are the next two guys. You talk about Gerald Everett and Tyler Higbee. The next two guys are Bryson Hopkins and Jacob Harris. So it's just a matter of what we're able to see from them in the preseason. Jacob Harris is actually listed as the fourth tight end behind Bryson Hopkins on the depth chart. It's interesting because if Hopkins was listed fourth, everyone would be freaking out, right, and expecting him to be cut off. Hopkins is going to be cut. The Rams have no confidence in him. But there's some assurance in the fact that they're grooming him to be the next Tyler Higbee. So we're going to see. First debut is tonight.
I just think it's nice not to have Everett, TBH. I really liked him in that 2018 season, but it seemed like he was just not like a hustle guy, you know?
Yeah. He had
just like wasn't like dropped the ball more so than anybody else. I just thought it was really funny that like all these 49ers fans were tweeting that Everett in stride from that Kansas City game.
Oh, you mean Seattle?
Oh, Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Seattle. Oh God, Seattle. They're just going to fall apart this year,
which is even worse. Yeah, I hope they do too. The thing with Gerald Everett that I was always concerned about was the motor, which was one. I mean, he had some flashy plays. He was so athletic, but he never seemed like he would miss an assignment. He would miss a block. Just little things in a player, like little mental mistakes that was reminiscent of like Jared Cook, that just left a bad taste in my mouth on his way out. So I'm hopeful that these are the next two guys. I think Jacob Harris is very promising. If something happens with him, I'm going to be upset because he seems like he's going to be an essential part of the offense this year, but we'll see. What about Bryce Perkins? I think we know what we're getting in the duck, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, maybe we could all laugh at the duck. But he's 3-3 as a starter in his career. So, I mean, we kind of know what we can get out of him. Bryce Perkins is going to be way more fun to watch, I think, for us as Rams fans.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really excited. He's got something to prove. He doesn't want to get waived and signed to the practice squad again. Yeah. He definitely wants to make the roster as the third guy, maybe even the second guy over Wolford. I'm sure Chris Long will tell you that this kid can play. He's just like one of those like dual threat guys. He expands the pocket, makes the plays, and it's good to have three backups under Stafford, who has had great years in the past, but has also had injury-prone years as well. And I just don't want this amazing team to fall on the shoulders of Coach's son, John Wolford. So I really
excited. You won't even get a proper evaluation of the other two guys because you're just Wolford. It can't get out of your head.
He's not even in my head. I just don't want him anywhere. I don't want him anywhere.
These other two guys, Duck and I'm glad I brought Wolford up to start pissing you off. Duck and Bryce Perkins are both, carbon copies of what you get out of John Wolford. Arguably, John Wolford's more athletic, and I think he has –
points for having a LinkedIn premium,
No, I think he has a higher football IQ. And it's the reason why Mcveigh has brought him along this far, and he's going to be the backup for hopefully a Super Bowl bound team. But Bryce Perkins, another dual threat guy, like you mentioned,
that damn 13.
I think it's funny. I think it's funny that all of McVay's backups are all guys that can clearly move the pocket and take off. All guys,
right? Which was telling last year when we had Garrett. Because it was like this is the guy that can't do that.
Yeah, well, these are three backups that could all run like a 4.6 40 or sub 4.6. So I mean, these are all pretty quick guys. So it's going to be fun to watch these type of players.
Right. And that's, I don't think of Stafford as that kind of guy, No, he's like a gunslinger, can extend the play a little bit, but he's not going to like get you anywhere on his feet.
Oh, he can. Well, he can take off and run for 8 yards if he has to get a first down and dive head first and break his finger.
Goff had 4 rushing yards yesterday in preseason.
Yeah, you know what? While we're talking about the quarterbacks, why don't we get your take on Goff's preseason debut? Because I don't even have it here in the script. So
he was, I think he was like 7 for 9 or something.
Yep.
looked pretty good. Had a couple 3rd and longs. I mean, he just kind of took control of the offense. A little shaky in the beginning. He almost threw a pick immediately, but got that out of the way, and then was looked pretty good. I mean, I'm just really excited to watch that.
Are you a fan of 7 for 8 for 55 yards and a 15-minute drive that ends in a field goal? I'm not.
No, but preseason, it was fun to watch. This was the first time he ever played preseason.
Yeah, it was. Did he play preseason his rookie year? Did he play his rookie year preseason?
I don't think he did.
No, I don't know. I feel like he did. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, but that's true. I mean, to see him in a new uniform, I actually missed the start of the game. I was like 20 minutes late, and I saw it on Twitter. And I immediately, I was sitting there with Dad, and I turned the channel, and we were both sitting there like, oh, my God, it's Goff in the Lions jersey. So it's weird. A little weird, for sure.
It's super weird.
But it looks like the same player. You know what I mean? So
yeah. We'll
get to some of his numbers, his over-unders on total touchdowns later on in the episode. But interesting to hear what you think.
I mean, I'm going to be watching that Lions. I'm a Jared Goff fan.
Yeah, we both will be. We'll be texting.
I think a lot of Rams fan will.
Yeah, well, if we have it, we're going to try to go to the Lions and Rams game as well. The homecoming of Jared Goff, where you will wear a Jared Goff jersey, and we will give him a standing ovation.
I think if he gets anything but that, the whole city should be canceled.
I mean, if you're booing him, it's for spite, or you just
poor taste.
Poor taste, right? I mean, he did a lot for the city and has done a lot for the city. All right, so on to Tutu Atwell.
Is he playing in preseason?
I believe he'll play a little bit.
Interesting.
I don't know.
So he's not one of those 22 starters. Who's over him? Is it Deshaun?
Yeah, well, I guess so. There's Van Jefferson would be technically the 3rd receiver, and then Deshaun would be 4th, and then technically Tutu would be 5th. So a few days ago, Mcveigh mentioned that Tutu had been quarantining in a hotel room for 10 days prior to making his training camp debut. So it was a super slow progression getting him up to speed. But I'm expecting him to get some work in during the preseason, but on a very limited snap count early on in the game. If we do see him at all, he could get a little Z action where he's lined up off the line of scrimmage or even in the slot as the X. So you might see a little bit of that. You might see him on special teams. I actually believe that he's the favorite to be the punt returner, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the episode too.
I'm not. It could still be Deshaun.
Well, yeah, and in certain situations or late in the game, it could be Deshaun. You just really don't know yet.
Miracle in the Meadowlands kind of guy.
I know. I can't get that video out of my head. Tristan Jackson is a player.
He fumbles it in the beginning too.
Sorry. Yeah, he does. He bobbles the ball and then evaluates the field and then takes off up the middle. It's ridiculous. Tristan Jackson is currently wide receiver listed in front of Ben Skronik on the depth chart. He was a 7th round pick. So the Rams staff really like him. He's been hanging around the practice squad, and he could even be a dark horse to win a special teams job. He's not in the running for the punt returner job. So it's going to be interesting to see, what his progression looks like. Maybe he could figure out his way onto the depth chart, onto the final roster, and maybe Ben Skronik gets kicked to the practice squad. They have so many receivers right now that they're testing out, so it's going to be really interesting. Let's get to the opposite. Go ahead.
A lot of it probably just goes into the communication and the chemistry that they have with Stafford. So, this is more so to me, just make a cool big play, and then maybe you can sit down with Big Daddy Matt.
Yeah, no, that's true. If you flash in the preseason, maybe have 2-3 big plays, you're going to probably find yourself on the roster. So
I think more of this, honestly, it's more like playing for a paycheck than anything else.
Yeah,
most of these,
sure.
Practice squad or next man up kind of thing. Especially in a McVeigh regime team where it's we're not even going to these guys aren't making the field. This is to see what we have and what we can work with in the future. Right. Just kind of see your skill level, and then because they know their guys and they have their guys, so it's everything here. It's almost like take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. The one thing McVeigh was want to make sure that my players have fun. You do have to take it with a grain of salt, but there's also guys that are trying to earn a paycheck, like Tremaine Akram, a 7th round pick out of Clemson last year. We're most likely going to see Joe Noteboom starting at left tackle for maybe the first half or the first quarter of the game. And then after that, I'm expecting to see Tremaine Akram. I hope he carries the load. He put some good stuff on tape. I remember watching him in April 2020, seeing if he could be a part of the offensive line in 2020 after they drafted him. But then you fast forward to now, and it's still the pandemic, and we still haven't really gotten a chance to watch him play yet. So I would just like to see him, put some positive reps on tape. Coming into that left tackle position would be fun. Then Coleman Shelton, obviously not a guy like I'm overly excited to watch as a backup center, but I'll be agitated if he makes mistakes and isn't prepared to play because Mcveigh talks these guys up. Oh, Coleman Shelton came in camp, looks fantastic, all this stuff. If you make a mistake or you fumble a snap or you go off sides, these are all things that I'm watching for. So I'm going to be frustrated again in the fact that Mcveigh boosts all these guys up all the time.
What is your current stance on the offensive line where it's at right now?
Well, I mean, if you believe everything that Sean McVay says, then Brian Allen is going to be the best.
I don't believe him anymore at all. Nothing he says to the media, I believe anymore.
Well,
I just think he's kind of created that persona of everything's fine and I'm doing a good job and we all love each other back there. But really, that's not what what he says in his actions. So yeah, I think he's going to put on a good face and say everybody's great, when in reality, I don't think they have it really figured out at all.
So it scares me that, obviously 3 weeks before the season, you start shuffling things around. But this was always the plan, right? They had told us that they were going to try some things out. I don't know if we were all expecting it to happen. Once they released that depth chart, it was like, okay, Corbett's been playing center. And then a couple days before, we had heard that Allen's been rotating in and getting the first team starting reps. So at first you're like, okay, well, this could just be a little bit of an experiment. Then you see him on the depth chart, and then you hear McVay say he would be the starter in week 1. I think it goes to show how much they love Corbett at right guard. And maybe Bobby Evans, they're not comfortable with him at that position. So they feel like Brian Allen is more sufficient there. My problem with it is you could have addressed it in the draft. You could have addressed it in free agency. You're just putting so much trust in a 5th-round pick at Brian Allen from 3 years back. He's coming off a severe leg injury, but apparently, according to McVay, he looks amazing. And you could run some different kind of run concepts with a smaller center opposed to a big body. I think it's all going to be about also, too, who does Stafford prefer? Who does Stafford like receiving snaps from?
That's what I was going to say. If
it's more so Brian Allen and they're more comfortable working together on the sideline, they've prepared for that moment. Maybe that's what Stafford prefers, and that's what McVay likes. So
yeah,
that's
Stafford's going to have more of a LeBron say to things, I think, than Goff ever had. Where it's just going to be like, you got to trust me. I'm like the adult in the room.
Yeah, I think it's partially that. But, at the same time, it's a position that the quarterback has to have a specific feel about. And he's a veteran and been in the league for, 12 years at this point. So he has a feel for one guy versus the other. And I guess you just have to trust it. I can't, if it works, I'll be happy. But if it doesn't work, I'll be the one that says that I wish it worked differently. I wish that
I saw this coming.
Yeah, well, I just really liked what Bobby Evans put on tape too when he filled in for Havenstein at right tackle in I think it was 2019 when Havenstein went down, and Bobby Evans came in, seamless transition. The locker room was pumped. I remember the pictures afterward. Whitworth was hugging him and hyping him up in the locker room. So he was a guy that I hope was hoping could develop. Same with Joe Noteboom, right? So those are two guys you're just kind of like in no man's land, just kind of waiting for direction. So it's going to be interesting. The other guy, Nick, I think you're going to love this. Max Percher, the Paisan. So the Italian
doesn't really have an Italian last name.
No, he doesn't. But the Rams welcomed Matt Percher to the 90-man roster this summer by the way of the NFL's International Player Development Program as he made his way from Italia to the United States. Teams are permitted to carry an international player on the practice squad without taking up a spot. So they're allowed to develop Max Percher this season, the Paisan. It's a win-win situation for both the team and the player. So he'll stick around. He's listed right now as the 4th left tackle. So we would see him even behind Trayvon Akram. And I think you could even be listed as the 5th left tackle. So a lot of depth on this roster here. But it'll be interesting to see how the Paisan battles through the trenches.
I wonder if they get like a little like stipend stimmy money for putting one of these international players in. The NFL just is trying so hard to make football a big deal over there, just in Europe in general. I'm just so happy that we're no longer like a poverty franchise that has to go to London and like play those games.
I'm just thinking about all the Italian football players that have, there's Dan Marino. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Vince Ferragamo.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G is a Paisan. Oh, he might be Greek.
No, he's Italian.
All I do is see.
Look at that nose.
All I see is Jimmy G, Travis Matthew on my Instagram.
Jimmy G is a handsome hunk.
It's not terrible. So yeah, there's that. He'll be interesting to watch. JJ Koski and Ben Skronik, the other two receivers. Here's my prediction on JJ Koski.
I've actually never heard these names before.
No, you heard Ben Skronik was a draft pick from Notre Dame. JJ Koski. Here, my prediction with him. I said this to Dad last night. He just followed us on Instagram last night. So I said, Dad. Yes.
Damn, and I was just like, oh, I have no idea who this is.
Yeah, terrible. Bad look for you. I'm going to clip that and post it. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Just kidding.
What?
My thought was, just because he's getting so much buzz in camp and because he could do a multitude of things, he may draw comparisons to Nelson Spruce. I don't want to say he's the next Nelson Spruce because you never know what his upside could be. It could be higher than that. But I think he has some qualities similar to Nelson Spruce. He'll be a deep threat. There's some really good highlights of him if you go back and watch on YouTube. He's a deep threat. He can line up in the slot, get some good run on special teams. He might even return some kickoffs. And he could ultimately find himself back on the practice squad. But like I mentioned, Ben Skronik, the 7th-round pick, he's going to be fighting for a role too. And I'm hearing special teams is the most likely destination for him. So if Koski can show more in the preseason, he may find himself on the 53-man roster after all. And in the end, I think it's all going to be about who could do more on special teams, and Koski's my pick.
Here's my tidbit
my favorite
on special teams. Here's my advice if anybody's listening. If you're, receiving kickoffs and the ball goes over your head, just do one of these.
Yeah, we do not. If you're returning a kickoff and any part of your body is in the end zone, knee. We need you to take a knee. We don't need you to try to take it out and play hero ball.
We don't have Fossil anymore.
No.
The Magic Man is in Dallas, and he looks great on Hard Knocks right now.
Who, Fossil?
Mm-hmm. Have you been watching that at all?
I haven't been. How is it? Is it good?
It's real. I mean, only one episode came out so far, but it's fun. Dak is just so hard to hate. Like I just want him to succeed. I mean, you can kind of not like the organization and whatnot, but Dak Prescott is just like such a fighter, and he's just he's probably the best quarterback to come out of his draft class. Sorry, Wentz and Goff, but that's just the reality of the situation.
We know it was funny. You said 5 years ago that you guys went to the Cowboys and Rams game, which opened the Coliseum, right? So
yeah, it's some annoying Cowboys fans there that day too.
But they introduced the Rams back to Los Angeles, with Cowboys being the visitor. And I remember you and Dad saying to me, "Wow, we watched Dak, and Dak looks better than Wentz or Goff. Like he looks like he could be the future of that franchise."
You absolutely hate when you make a prediction like that and then it comes true. Yeah, and it's like, how could we see it? We both watch football a lot, but like two doofuses in the stands, can see that he plays better than both Wentz and Goff, and yet he went so far down, and Jeff Fisher selected.
Yeah, I mean, we traded up to get Goff, right?
And nobody likes Goff more than me, so it's just
they needed a fresh start in LA though, and it made sense to go up, make a splash, and get the number 1 pick.
Here's what I want to know, right?
A better bet at the time. Yeah.
Just to get back into this offense one more time before we jump into the defense. So we got a new play caller in town, right?
Yeah,
Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
How long do you think the season goes on if the Rams are losing for McVeigh to strike that title away from him?
Oh, it's only for the preseason.
Oh, it's not even for the season.
Oh, I think it might only be for this game.
Oh.
No,
wow.
It's not for the season. He's going to be calling plays tonight. Definitely not throughout the whole season.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
So-
McVay's never going to give
so
up.
he's
like
just an
on-
offensive. He's just not really an offensive coordinator. He's like an assistant
He's-
offensive coordinator. He's
Well,
an assistant to the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially the same role he had last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought McVeigh was ready to eat some humble pie, and you'd be like, "Hey, I'm not calling plays anymore."
Look how like happy you got over the fact that that could be true.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
You perked
My
up.
McVeigh stock is down right
You
now.
perked up. Well, he's got a lot to prove to you. You want to transition to the defense before we dig the knife into McVeigh?
Yeah.
All right.
Why don't we? I mean, the defense is what. Like, I'm going to be rocking my 99 white, yellow Donald jersey
There you
today.
go.
I mean, offense will be fun, but I think the defense has a chance to really kind of come out super hot. And I know it's the backups, but still, I'm excited to see our new defensive coordinator's scheme.
I don't know if you're going to see it.
What do you mean?
I think you're going to see some base stuff. We'll get into it. I have a prediction. I don't know, but what do you want to do? You want to talk about scheme first? Do you want to talk about players we're excited to see?
Let's talk about players.
Okay, and then we'll
talk about scheme at the end. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll talk about what I'm thinking. The Browns, I'm excited to see. Bobby Brown.
They took a lot of our guys.
Yeah, Bobby Brown and Ernest Brown on the defensive line. Not sure what we're going to see of Bobby Brown in that nose tackle role coming off of a thumb surgery, as we're expecting Greg Gaines potentially to start there. And for SJD, obviously, as a starter to watch from the sidelines. And then you could see Eric Banks. He's listed as the second in the defensive end role behind Ashawn Robinson. I'm expecting Eric Banks to play. And then Ernest Brown's listed as the third. So I want to see a solid rotation between those two guys.
I realize what's going on now.
I think Eric Banks is probably going to have an edge just because he's been around longer. And you might see Marquise Copeland presumably start in the Aaron Donald role because he's right behind him on the depth chart. And then same with Greg Gaines, as I mentioned, he's behind SJD, who's probably going to sit out the entire preseason, I would assume. So, you have Eric Banks, Marquise Copeland, and then the Browns, I think are going to be interesting to watch. But more so, obviously, the two rookies that are newer to the squad. And then Chris Garrett on the edge, a late-round draft pick for the Rams. They kind of have 4 starting edge rushers right now, the Rams, with Lewis, Obo, Hollins, and Floyd. So obviously Lewis on one side, Floyd on one side, and then the combo, the 3-headed monster of Lewis, Obo, and Hollins on the other side. So you're not going to see Lewis. You're not going to see Hollins because he's a starter, and you're definitely not going to see Leonard Floyd. So do we see a little bit of Obo? I don't know, but we're definitely going to see Chris Garrett. So Chris Garrett's going to be somebody that we'll definitely get a good evaluation on. We'll see if he's more of a speed rusher versus somebody who can contain. So I'm just kind of interested to see what kind of pressure he's able to generate. As the Rams have been pretty solid at evaluating defensive linemen over the last couple of years. So interesting to see who they're able to bring in a late round, watch them develop.
Yeah, I mean, it's the inside linebackers. I'm not really sure exactly which ones we're going to see, just based off of everything that we've been going through and where the starters are. Because you have Kenny Long and Troy Reader listed, but
yeah, those are the 2 starters.
They're not going to get on there, right? Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I would hope not. Probably Ernest Jones, Kaiser.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, and maybe Trayvon Howard.
Yeah,
is kind of what I'm expecting.
I mean, I thought that was one of our strong suits last year was our inside linebackers. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of curious to see where these guys will fall into place.
Yeah, I think the depth wasn't a strong suit at all. I think that Kenny Young and Troy Reader actually played well by miracle, but that was really all they had. But this year you're coming back with Micah Kaiser healthy, Trayvon Howard healthy, Ernest Jones, the rookie that they drafted, which we're all excited to watch. So I think there's those 3 guys that you'll be excited to just kind of take a look at. And then Trayvon Howard's been showing a lot of good stuff in camp, that he has quick feet. He's got quick twitch muscles, so he's going to be fun to watch as well. He came along in 2019. There was a game against Seattle where he had a couple pass breakups down the field that were so impressive. So I think just from an athletic standpoint, if he can get on the field and stay healthy, the Rams are going to like what they have out of him. So he could steal time as well. I would like to see, if it were up to me, throughout the season, Ernest Jones and Trayvon Howard. But Kenny Young is the guy right now as an inside linebacker. I mean, he's the guy that is carrying the defense over from last year to this year. He knows the defense inside and out. You could tell he's a huge personality, and he's a big part of the chemistry on that defense. So, I think
that's what I think of when I think of our inside linebackers, really. It's like Kenny Young.
Yeah, Kenny Young was the face of it last year.
Yeah.
So there's that. So the inside linebackers will be fun. And then Robert Rochelle is coming off a wrist surgery, the defensive backs, after trying to punch the ball out in practice. I don't expect to see him at all on Saturday, or today, rather, although he was in pads and was in a soft cast in practice a week after surgery. But he was also in a non-contact jersey. So I don't think he was really practicing physically. I wouldn't completely rule him out for the entire preseason, but he's not going to go on Saturday for sure.
So it's 2 more games after this, right? It's 3 total for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oakland and Denver are the next 2.
Is Denver in Denver, or are they all here?
Denver's in Denver.
Oh, well, I mean, the first 2 are here, so.
Yeah, not a long flight either to get over there from LA,
No.
which is good.
Not really at all.
Not a lot of travel in the preseason.
Which is nice.
I don't even think I would prefer to not have preseason. Right now that it's around this time of year again, like after not having it at all last year, I'm happy with the fact we got a game last night. I don't know.
Crazy that I didn't even remember that they just didn't exist last year. That's nuts.
Yeah, I know.
It was like, hey guys, no preseason, but week 1, get ready.
Yeah, this year's already more fun, and they actually came out hot on week 1, which was fun. David Long Jr. Just a question mark to me. He's been listed behind Jalen Ramsey on the depth chart. I'm wondering if he just completely assumes that Jalen Ramsey role, meaning where he plays in the star, he plays a little bit on the outside, and he did noticeably struggle in that open practice versus the Cowboys. I initially thought he was the guy who was going to start at the nickel, but when Demoff made that comment on the 11 Personnel podcast that Terrell Burgess is earmarked for Troy Hill's role, it makes me think that Terrell Burgess is the guy to play nickel. And David Long Jr. could be the odd man out, or they bring him in on specific sub packages. So with Fuller at free safety and Rapp at strong safety, what are you getting out of David Long Jr.? So he's a guy that I think he's got to have a really good, really solid preseason. So I don't know, if he's going to get a lot of time, but I expect him to be on the field early on. So there's him, and then there's Kareem Moore. Also, Kareem Moore he's having he's the kind of training camp player where I think he's creating a lot of noise. He's listed behind David Long Jr. I don't expect him to do the same things as Ramsey can, or even what David Long Jr. can do. But he's had a really nice camp, and they have a lot of confidence in what he's been able to do. So maybe there's an opportunity for him to kind of step up and create a role for himself in the future. But I do think he's slated for the practice squad. So
yeah,
we shall see.
I mean, hopefully tonight.
Hopefully tonight.
Hopefully tonight.
Couple more guys that I'm excited to see. Dante Dion, he's listed behind Darius Williams, who is nursing a minor ankle injury on the depth chart. Pretty injury-free. I think so far in the training camp, looks like the veterans, they've had a pretty solid plan for Whitworth and Stafford and Cooper Kupp. So all those guys have been okay.
Put those paddings all over the helmet.
Yeah, to protect Stafford's fingers and his thumbs. And then Dante Dion.
Fragile fingers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Darius Williams, right? A minor ankle injury. I think same thing with SJD. So, I mean, some of the more veteran players may be dealing with some nagging injuries, but they're not going to see any time anyway. So it's good to get some time for rest. But Dante Dion, we saw him on Hard Knocks. He's a really fun personality. He'll get aggressive. I think he's going to try to mimic what made Darius Williams so successful last year. He's a little bit smaller, but he's a great, great locker room guy. And obviously his morale is always really high. So we're just hoping to see him mature and play some mistake-free football and have fun. I think the whole staff has fun watching him as well as he has fun playing the game. So Nick Scott, another guy, he's out for the preseason with the knee sprain. That will keep him out until the start of the season. It's pretty scary, the injury. Ryan Anderson from LAFB is a beat writer that we had a chance to meet over at SoFi Stadium. Shout out Ryan. He actually pointed out that injury. He took a picture of it and noticed that it was a scary one at camp. So we're just excited that he's able to get back on his feet and can overcome that knee sprain. But then you get opportunities from guys like Terrell Burgess. Obviously, we talked about Paris Ford, Troy Warner, Fred Warner's brother. So they're guys who are all going to be playing behind, like J.R. Reed and Juju Hughes And I think the Rams only kept 5 safeties on the roster last year. So there's Fuller, Rapp, Burgess, and then the next 2 slots are really kind of up for grabs. I mean, it could be Paris Ford and Troy Warner, could be J.J. Hughes and J.R. Reed. You never know who those 2 guys will be. So going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. Let's get into the schematics. Why not?
Okay.
You know?
You sure?
Because we're not really sure how much the Rams and Raheem Morris will show early on. I mean, I don't know if you watched the Eagles-Steelers preseason game, but we saw a lot of just like base defense, just basic concepts to not really reveal anything, which I guess is what we'll see. I'm kind of hoping for some, just because selfishly, I want to see some.
You'll see some blitz packages.
Yeah,
you will.
just
You'll see
some kind of, revenue and like, something that's just outside of, because that game was kind of boring to watch. And again, it's preseason, and it makes me wonder if the Rams organization even wants to play these preseason games. But that being said, they have a ton of evaluation to do just within this depth chart as we were just going through it. So it's going to be interesting to see where these plug and play, players will fall and how long they'll even get in, really. Like if you do something highlight worthy, or do you just get like pulled out right after that? Like in the Hard Knocks with the Cowboys, you saw a lot of players like being noticeably upset because they make a good play and they're like, "Oh, I'm hungry, get me back in there." And they're like, "Nope, it's not what this is about. Sit down. I'm done."
Yeah.
So it just makes me wonder how important and influential these games really are. But
that's a good problem to have.
Maybe they are. Yeah,
it's a good problem to have as a player. If you're being pulled out of a game because you did something good, I think the coaches are trying to evaluate how you handle that, because that's what the league's all about. You make a good play, you bring in another set of fresh legs, especially at the running back position or wide receiver. Whoever's fresh, come and make a play. That's who you want in the game. You have to be able to handle and deal with emotions. So I think there are a lot of these younger guys, they got to evaluate that side of the player too. So there's a lot that comes along with just a preseason game. You're evaluating the play on the field, and then you got to evaluate, how guys handle specific mental situations on the field and then when they come off the field.
Also, you got until August 24th because you go from 90 to 80. And then after that, you got another week, and then you go from 80 to 53. So, for the non-football fans, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like American Idol when they get to Hollywood, and you just start like cutting people off. And it's tough because everyone's really close and they're all getting, it's like, neck and neck. But Kelly Clarkson, she's going to show her pretty little face, and she's going to make those hits.
Yeah, for hypothetical reasons, I would if Sanjaya was on my 90-man roster and I was going down to 80, I would cut Sanjaya.
To cut Sanjaya would be cut at 90.
So he would not make it to my 53-man roster, which is essentially the top 3 in American Idol.
We're really looking for the for the Casey Abrams, the Haley Steinfelds of the world that can sneak in there.
Haley Steinfeld was on American Idol?
No, there's another Haley, and I forgot her last name. She's on the same season as Casey.
You can't twist stuff there.
I had to. We're live.
You could have said some other whatever. What about special teams? We were talking about the punt returners. Punt returners in the mix. I want you to set some odds on these players. Ready? I'm going to set live odds since we're live on TV. We're not on TV.
That'd be cool if we were on television.
Maybe one day. Tutu Atwell, Jeremiah Haydell, Landon Akers, Raymond Collay, and Jake Funk are your 5 listed in no.
So Tutu
listed in no specific order.
Tutu is got to be like plus 200. Akers, Landon, and Raymond.
Akers and Landon are the same person.
Oh, I was saying it's me. Akers, Haydell, and Raymond Calais. They're like plus 700 guys. I don't think they're gonna, All right. But Funk maybe like also like around plus 200.
Oh, okay. So it's between Tutu and Funk.
Yeah,
I think it's between. I think Tutu is going to be the favorite, right? And I think it's between Haydell and then Collay are going to be the 2 guys. I think Haydell apparently has been getting a lot of work back there And
Really?
Landon Akers too. So it's, again, we talked about how the receiver group is super competitive. One of those guys is going to have to emerge, right? That'll probably determine if they carry an extra receiver or they carry an extra running back. So one of those guys can make the roster just from being able to return some punts, fielding the punt cleanly, calling a fair catch without muffing the punt.
Yeah, but that's like I know like that's like your sole job, which makes it, I think, even harder because it's your only job. And also like that's one of the toughest jobs in football, I think.
Yeah.
It's just so and so much can go wrong.
Yeah, I think that. And then I see videos like from Hard Knocks where Pac-Man Jones caught like 6 footballs at once. You ever see that video?
Yeah.
Where he caught 1 and then 2 and then just kept catching them. He caught 1 where he had 5 in his hands already. It was amazing. So I don't think it's that difficult. I just want
Does that even help though? Like, is that even like a good sense of practice, or is
I don't
it
know.
just impressive?
It's impressive. Pac-Man was a knucklehead. So Tutu would be my favorite there. But those are the 5 guys that are going to get run at the position: Tutu, Haydel, Akers, Collay, and Jake Funk.
I just want our special teams to be passable this year.
Yeah, you can't be in the bottom 3 in DVR.
Oh, here's a question.
Yeah.
Will we see Gay tonight?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. The kickers, like they don't sit the kickers.
No, I don't think. I mean, you should. It's regular work. He should get some.
Yeah,
you're going to see the backup. You're going to see the backup punter. That's for sure. So you'll see that a little bit. I don't think Hecker's playing at all. So you'll see maybe Gay's not playing. Maybe I don't think they have a second kicker. Hold on, I have the depth chart up. Let me see if the second kicker is listed here. Backup kicker,
Sam Solomon,
Austin McGinnis, who was around last year. Looks like he's on the 90-man roster. And then backup punter, I'm probably going to butcher this name, Corey Bajorquez. Looks like Corey Bojangles to me. But he's going to be the punter probably for tonight. And then you might even get a backup long snapper. There's a second long snapper. Stephen Wartol is on the roster behind Matthew Orzik. Obviously, Jake McQuaid is no longer on the roster, so we miss him. And then Raymond Collay, as we mentioned, is listed as the kick returner. So I think there's a lot of things that could happen with the kick returner role as well. Raymond Collay was brought in last year to be a kick returner, and he got some run at it last year, so I think he's the favorite to win that job too.
Maybe.
All right. That's what we got as a preview. We got some fun bets before the season officially kicks itself off. You're making the Money Manziel sign. You think there's any bets? I don't know if you've read this over yet, but are there any bets so far on this book that you feel like you could, sink some money into and ride into the sunset?
Jared Goff, regular season passing touchdowns over 20 and a half.
Can you believe that's the number?
Yeah, it feels low.
Oh, God. I feel like it feels accurate.
How many did he have last year?
I don't know.
Had to be like 25 to 30.
So here's the thing. The under is actually more of, so the over 20.5 is minus 110. And then the under is 20.5 at minus 120. So the odds are in favor of him actually going over 20.5. I don't think he's ever had that low touchdown passes. He'll be fine. But anyway, let's just run these through and let me know what you think, right? Oh, so last year he had 20 touchdowns. The year before he had 22.
Oh, God. All right. Yeah, he really dropped last year. He was like a top 10 guy, and then he just became like top 20. Let's run through these, and we'll just give each other some feedback. All right. Leonard Floyd plus Aaron Donald over 24.5 combined regular season sacks sits at plus 225. Floyd himself had 10.5 last year. Donald gets the sacks, but ever since we've gone out of that Wade Phillips defensive, he's not the sack guy, and people double him and triple him. Yeah, so he's going to get a couple, yes, but it's the other guys that step up. So I wouldn't take this. Yeah, he's going to get, I think he's going to get more than a couple. But to ask to ask Leonard Floyd to have the same year, which is, 10 and a half sacks is a good year from an edge rusher. Hopefully he's in the 12, 13, 14 range this year. But to ask Donald to get 10 sacks is not impossible. That's why it's 2-1. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm on the fence about this one. I think the next one
you have on the list. I don't think I'd put my money on that quite yet, Donald and Floyd. But the next one, I think
I would totally bet the under, but it's probably not even that good of a bet. So you have Matt Stafford over 29.5 regular season passing touchdowns, plus Cooper Kupp. So it's a combined bet, plus Cooper Kupp over 1,099.5 regular season receiving yards. Like, I hate how like specific that is.
Yeah, it's weird.
You know what I mean? Plus 330. Kupp has only surpassed that total in 2019. Last time Stafford threw 30 or more TDs was 2015. This has like bad money written all over it. Kupp is is going to be on a pitch count. He's still kind of injury prone. One of them goes down. This bet is completely nerfed. Like, I would just not touch this.
Yeah, completely. You could be riding.
It's a horrible bet.
You could be Matt Stafford at 28 touchdowns in week 16, and you could have Cooper Kupp at like 985 yards in week 15, and maybe they're 12-3 or whatever that is, and then somebody sits. You know what I mean?
Optimistic.
The whole. Well, I'm just saying the whole bet is screwed after like you feel confident about it the whole year. So.
Right. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. The next one. Aaron Donald to break the regular season sack record, which would be over 22 and a half, plus 2,500. Would you throw $5 to win 250?
Yeah, I like that bet just for funsies.
You like that one the most?
Yeah, I do.
All right. What is that? What is that? $1 to win $25?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably throw 100 on it just so you can get that big $2,000 payout.
100.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to break the.
How about this
argument that he's not going to? They're not going to get 24.
Yeah, I know, but the payout is so much greater.
Don't get fooled by the payout.
Can't
get fooled by the payout.
Listen. So a lot of money's actually coming in on the Lions. 18% in Vegas for them to win the NFC. Probably just because the payout is just so crazy high. It's like plus like 7,000. But they're getting 18% of that bet, which, like, what do they know? You know what I mean? What do they know that we don't? Rams to be the NFC number 1 seed is plus 500, which doesn't seem like good enough money for me. When you have the Packers and Tampa Bay both in much weaker divisions. So
I actually like the bet because
he likes it.
No, I'm sorry. I guess you have
the tiebreaker against both of those teams.
I thought it was Rams to go to the NFC Championship. That's my.
Oh no, different bet.
I actually don't like that bet. Okay, The next one: Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams to combine for 6.5 regular season interceptions at plus.
Now that I like. I remember last year Ramsey's was at like 3.5, and I was like, "Oh my god, you got to take that! That's like the best money ever." And he didn't hit it. He only had like 2.
I think he had 2 or 3. I think he did have 2. But Williams had 3 or 4.
Exactly. It's like you mix in Williams in there. Oh, regular season. See, now I'm thinking with that Seattle. Yeah, no, I like that. I would take that. I would sprinkle some money on that because if you put $100 on that now, worst case scenario is you'll have to pay $100 until February.
So Darius Williams had 4 last year, and I believe Jalen Ramsey had 2.
So 6.5. Imagine that. Oh, that would kill me.
That's why it's set. Actually, Jalen Ramsey had 1 last year.
Must have dropped 1.
Yeah, really? He only had 1? That's a surprise to me.
Okay, how about this? Rams to reach the NFC Championship game plus 225.
Yeah, no, see, I like that one. Because, I mean, they're giving you 2-1 odds.
Are you kidding me? You like that one? To reach the NFC Championship game at plus 225.
Love it.
So much confidence everybody has on this team. They could miss the playoffs. You know what I mean? I think that's just bad money.
I'm a Rams brother. What can I say? I just
wanted
to get you ruffled there.
How is the dynamic just? No, I don't think.
I don't. We used to. I don't think.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
I was just messing with you. Who will have a higher? I love this one. This might be my favorite one on the whole sheet. Who will have a higher win percentage from the 1st of September to the 30th of September? The LA Dodgers at -120 versus the LA Rams at +100.
Oh, gotta go Rams for that. September? McVeigh is so good in September.
Well, here's the thing. If the Rams go 4-0 to start the season or 3-0 to start the season, unbeatable because all the Dodgers have to do is lose one game. So
hold on. So week 1 is Bears. That's a win. What's week 2?
Shit. Who is week 2?
I'm pulling it up. Week 2, some listener right now is like, "Come on, you don't know the schedule." It's Colts, then Bucks,
Carson Wentz, right, and then Bucks, right.
Colts. So it's that Bucks game where you're going to be like, oh, because I think they can beat the Colts. I don't know, maybe not.
Well, I mean, then you're looking at 66% as a win percentage, which puts it in favor of the Dodgers.
This is actually, dude, man, they don't catch a break. So it's Bears, Colts, Bucks, Cardinals, Seahawks, Giants.
I think the Cardinals are a break. So are the Giants.
I don't. And then Lions, Texans. So I guess that's your break.
That's definitely a break. That's
Lions, Texans,
that's
Titans, Niners, Packers, Jags. Yeah, it's going to be a fun year.
It's going to be an awesome year. All right, so the last two we have. Matthew Stafford regular season passing touchdown set at 28.5. Under and over is both -115.
Yeah, it's just too unpredictable for me to say.
Well, he's only gone over 30 twice. The one year he had, was it 2011? He had like 41 touchdown passes. And then again in 2015, he had like 32. But I don't think he's ever gone that high again. 28.5, I think, is good. It's a good number. I would put my money down on that.
And then Brandon Staley has best odds to win Coach of the Year.
Also would put my money on that.
Yeah, that's a good one because they're not going to give
odds?
it to
How
like.
often do you get best odds at +1,000?
Yeah, they're not going to give it to like a McVeigh again, unless unless Stafford has that MVP season.
I'm trying to think who else is a candidate for that Coach of the Year.
It doesn't have to be a new coach.
No, it doesn't have to be a new coach.
Maybe it's Dan Campbell.
No, it's not. It's not going to be Dan Campbell. Lions are still what, 5 wins?
Do you think they're a 5-win team over under 5.5?
Yeah, they're a 5-win team.
I would say they're like 7 to 9.
6 maybe best. I don't know. All right, well, that's all we got for you. I think we made it a full hour.
Let me just shout out Brewery X, the best brewery in Anaheim. IPAs, hard seltzers, you name it. They got it. Over 30 beers and 10 hard seltzers. Curbside pickup 11 to 10 p.m. Open every day, 11 a.m. to midnight. This was Dina and Nikki in the morning.
I'm glad you did a shout out. I got to do a shout out too. Merch. We got the merch. If you look down on the ticker, there it is. Ticker. Available now, LAFBnetwork.com. Yep. Yeah. So go on, get your merch if you want it. Zach Mayer, shout out to you, buddy. You got 2 sweatshirts. Posted a picture. That's
absolutely awesome.
That's the way to do it, man. We're forever fans of yours for you going out and doing that. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. As always, so fun to do this. I cannot wait to send you updates at the game. Dean, I wish you could be there with me. But we'll be going to SoFi together this year, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And can't wait to meet all you guys. It's going to be so cool.
Yeah, pictures and videos from you.
Of course.
I expect a ton. Awesome. Good stuff, guys. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Peace.